They told you that helping others was a virtue, that kindness would circle back to you, karma would reward your generosity, and the universe would honor your good deeds. They said people would cherish you for it, and being there for others would make you indispensable. But that was a lie. If you pay close attention, really close, you'll notice a harsh reality. The more you give help, the more people expect it. The more they expect it, the more they grow resentful of the power your kindness gives you. And the more you keep giving, the quicker they forget all you've done. Machiavelli never said kindness was evil. He warned that unguarded kindness is dangerous, because help given to the wrong person at the wrong time, in the wrong way, turns you from a leader into a servant. And anyone who seeks power cannot afford to be a servant. Habit 1. Practice selective availability. This is the first rule of strategic selfishness. Unpaid debts don't breed loyalty. They breed resentment. If you keep giving without asking for anything in return, without making your worth clear, people will convince themselves you were simply doing your duty. They'll rewrite the story. They'll minimize your efforts. They'll make your sacrifices seem small, so they don't have to feel inferior to the one who helped them. And here's the most dangerous part. They won't even confront you directly. Instead, they'll start flaking out on plans, whisper to others that you're trying too hard, and paint your generosity as manipulation. When someone can't repay you, they have two options: to admit their debt and raise you up in their mind, or to belittle you to protect their pride. Most choose the easier path. Label you as too nice rather than face the truth that they've been using you. Machiavelli noticed this pattern clearly in politics. A prince who liberates a city is seldom adored. Instead, he is often resented. Why? Because now the people owe him a debt, and few enjoy the weight of obligation, even one that saved their lives. This same principle applies to your personal relationships. You might believe you're helping others, but in reality, you're conditioning them to betray you later. It's not because they lack ability, nor because you're their only option, nor because they truly appreciate you. They ask for your help because you've trained them to expect it. Every time you put aside your own needs to solve their problems, you're sending an unspoken message. My time is yours. My peace is secondary to your chaos. I will bear your burdens. Keep bringing them. After enough repetitions of this, people stop seeing you as a human being. Instead, you become a utility, a tool, a lifeline, a fallback, a therapist, a crutch. This is not respect. It's dependence. And dependence, without balance and give and take, isn't a relationship. It's exploitation. You give, they take, and you call it connection. Machiavelli warned against this trap of emotional illusion. He believed that the man who continually rescues others will ultimately drown alongside them, because weak people rarely rise just because you save them. They sink deeper, confident you'll dive in after them. Since childhood, you were programmed to believe helping is virtuous, that good people always help, that true friends are always there. But this narrative was written by those who wanted unrestricted access to your labor, not your empowerment. You weren't taught to help with strategy. You were taught to help habitually. Now whenever you refuse, you feel like a villain, cold, selfish, distant. But here's the Machiavellian truth. If helping costs you your power, your peace, or your purpose, it isn't help, it's self-betrayal. And a man who betrays himself will inevitably feel betrayed by others, because he gave too much believing they'd repay him, confusing gratitude for loyalty. True loyalty isn't earned by giving more. It's earned by giving less, strategically to the right people, at the right times in ways that strengthen your position. That's not selfishness. That's wisdom. You think you're being a good friend, partner, or person, but every time you say yes, when you should say no, you pay a hidden price. First, you sacrifice your time, discipline, constantly extinguishing other people's fires until your own house catches fire. You delay your goals and stall your progress. Habit 2. Say no clearly and confidently. You don't just lose time, you lose your forward momentum. It's not only about moments stolen, it's your entire trajectory that gets derailed. Worse still, you begin forging your identity around being the dependable one. Secondly, This breeds hidden resentment. You tell yourself, I'm doing this out of love, but underneath bitterness grows. You start expecting something back, whether gratitude, a favor, or plain respect. When none arrives, you feel used, yet silence yourself, because you chose to give. So you swallow the pain, pretend all is well, until one day the pressure bursts, and they label you dramatic. Third, it attracts the weak and repels the strong. Strong people value boundaries, they honor independence. They seek equals who challenge and empower, not enablers who rescue or enable weakness. The weak, however, sense your habitual helping like a beacon, and flock to it. The more aimlessly you help, the more you become a magnet for those unwilling to grow. People who crave saving more than evolution. Machiavelli warned, if you're known as everyone's crutch, don't expect to ever be seen standing tall. The goal isn't to become heartless, it's to become selective. Strategic selfishness means you offer help only to those who have truly earned your attention. You give only when it aligns with your values or serves your interests. You invest in those who reciprocate strength, not just story. Here's the secret. The man who helps less but with wisdom commands more respect than the one who aids everyone and ends up drained. So stop bleeding for those who wouldn't even offer a bandage. Stop watering those who prefer to stay parched. Stop proving your worth through endless sacrifice. Your time is an empire, and empires aren't built on favors. They're forged by force, clarity, and ruthless priorities. The era of pleasing everyone is over. The age of strategic selfishness has dawned. Those who master it don't need to beg for power. They embody it. A man must choose his currency. If you trade in approval, you'll remain forever poor. But if you invest in strategic power, you'll never have to plead. Machiavelli understood that being useful isn't the same as being respected, and being kind isn't the same as being untouchable. When you make helping others the center of your identity, you hand them control over your sense of worth. They can give or take away your value the instant you stop meeting their needs. That's why practicing strategic selfishness isn't cruelty. It's about guarding your strength, preserving your power, and managing your energy. In a world where demands never end, saying no becomes more than self-respect. It's your shield. As soon as you start pulling back from being everyone's reliable helper, especially from those who've grown used to your constant support, a new pattern emerges: guilt. They won't ask, why did you stop helping? Instead, they'll question, what happened to you? As if your growth is a betrayal. As if by becoming more independent, you've somehow become worse. You'll hear lines like, you used to be so kind, you've changed. Do you think you're better than us now? They'll disguise their concern, but beneath it lies fear. Fear that your detachment threatens their comfort. Your growth forces them to either change or lose the advantage they once had. And most would rather guilt you than adapt. Machiavelli saw that power often leads to isolation. When you stop catering to everyone's emotional needs, some will accuse you of arrogance, not because you're in the wrong, but because they can no longer exploit your willingness to give. Strategic selfishness shakes the foundation for those who profit from your self-sacrifice. They need you compliant, guilty, available, because that's how they maintain their comfort at your expense. One of the biggest lies you've been told is this: help enough and people will never want to lose you. But the reality is starkly different. If you give without boundaries, without expectation, without strategy, you become a mere utility, not a partner. People don't remain loyal to tools, they simply use them until they're worn out, then discard them. Habit 3. Evaluate requests with filters. You may believe you're forging unbreakable bonds, but unchecked generosity actually creates fragile conditional attachment on their terms, not yours. Someday, when you finally speak up or pull away, you'll hear, I didn't ask you to do all that. You've always been like this. Don't overreact. I thought we were friends. These are the lines people use to dodge accountability, to escape the debts of gratitude they owe but don't wish to pay. Once people begin to see you as replaceable, someone who will always show up no matter what, they stop valuing you. Remember this. The man who helps everyone ends up owned by everyone. The man who helps selectively becomes sought after by those who recognize how rare and precious his energy truly is. Every time you say no, you build a boundary. Every time you delay a reply, you reinforce a hierarchy. Every time you walk away instead of rescuing, you send a clear message. My energy is costly, earn it. Machiavelli would agree with this. Influence is not simply handed out, it's taught. You train others how to treat you not by what you tolerate, but by what you refuse. The fool helps impulsively, the strategist helps deliberately. That doesn't mean you become unfeeling, it means you evaluate each request carefully. Measure the benefit, recognize the patterns, and decide if your help strengthens you as well as them. Because every act of service that weakens you to strengthen someone else is a loss. Every favor that costs you but gains you nothing is a tax on your worth. Every time you say yes just to be liked, you lose altitude, and the higher you climb, the more air you'll need to sustain your ascent. Stop wasting energy on those who suffocate you with hollow gratitude. Gratitude they never truly intended. Before you help again, try applying Machiavelli's mental filter system, the intent filter. Why are they asked? Do they seek genuine guidance? Or are they just outsourcing responsibility? Are they truly stuck or addicted to your attention? Are they coming to you for your wisdom, or because they know you won't say no? Many ask not because they need help, but because they want to avoid facing themselves. As long as you intervene, they never have to. The reciprocity filter. Will your help be remembered or resented? Does this person return your energy or simply consume it? Do they support your growth or disappear when the focus isn't on them? A favor must be a transaction, not in the material sense, but in respect, loyalty, and elevation. If your help isn't repaid with these, it's not a gift. It's a liability. The trajectory filter. Does helping this person move you forward? Is it aligned with your mission? Does it expand your influence, strengthen your reputation, or deepen your network? Or does it pull you sideways into drama, confusion, or delay? Assistance should never derail your progress. If it does, you are sacrificing your legacy for the illusion of virtue. You are not obligated to be the savior for those who cling to suffering. You are not responsible for anyone else's growth. You need not diminish your own flame just to make others comfortable. Machiavelli would likely advise, help the useful, the dangerous, the strategic, and never the bottomless. Because there are those in this world who don't want healing. People want a witness to their chaos. And you volunteered for the role, hoping it wins their love. But in their eyes, you're no hero. You're just available. And men who are always available don't ascend. They decay. The most potent word in the language of power is no, not maybe, not let me see, not I wish I could, just no. Clear, firm, without explanation or apology, without emotional aftershocks. Every time you explain your no, you open the door to negotiation. Every time you soften it, you invite doubt, and every time you regret it, they'll sense hesitation and push again. Saying no is not rejection. It's reclaiming yourself. It declares, I am not free, I am not yours, my time is reserved for my empire. The fool fears this word, the powerful man lives by it. So starting now, stop rescuing people from problems they created. Stop showing up where your presence is expected, not valued. Stop dulling your edge for those afraid of sharpness. Most importantly, stop pouring energy into people who won't help you climb. If they cannot lift you higher, then slowing their fall is not mercy. It's self-sabotage. You don't owe anyone your energy. You don't need to be the world's support system. You must be your own center of gravity. The world doesn't reward the nicest man in the room. It rewards the most guarded, the most strategic, the most unavailable. When such a man speaks, people listen, because they know he guards his words, and his help like treasure. The fantasy of helping everyone is seductive, but it's a show that only the weak expect, and the strong refuse to perform. Every time you answer a call without question, without condition, without calculation, you chip away at your soul, giving yourself away for applause that vanishes as soon as you're no longer convenient. Habit 4. Help once, then step back. Machiavelli never preached cruelty, but he warned, the man who helps too much becomes nothing but a resource, a battery to be drained. Not a leader, not a sovereign, not a mystery. It's time to shatter the myth that being helpful equals being needed, that being always available means being loved, that generosity guarantees unforgettable status. It doesn't. It makes you replaceable. Here is what few will tell you. Most people distrust a man who gives too much because they can sense his need, not always for money or favors, but for validation, belonging, admiration, approval. The moment they sense you help to be liked, the balance of power flips. You become the one who asks, not the one who decides. When you become the provider, not the selector, you lose your leverage. They no longer view you as powerful. Now they see eagerness, and eagerness is a liability. It's predictable, exploitable, and ultimately weak. Machiavelli observed that a prince who hands out gifts too freely creates dependency, not loyalty. Dependency breeds instability. The moment you stop giving, the atmosphere shifts. Praise turns to suspicion. Gratitude melts into entitlement. Suddenly they question, why isn't he helping anymore? What's changed? Has he grown arrogant? But in reality, you've simply become a threat because you stopped playing by the rules that benefited them. Once you start practicing strategic selfishness, the accusations begin. You've changed. You're distant. You think you're better than us. What they truly mean is, you stopped making life easy for me. You stopped saying yes. You stopped responding instantly. You stopped solving problems you never created. Now they are face to face with their own patterns, helplessness and laziness. Your earlier presence helped justify their mediocrity. Now your absence exposes it. People don't drag you back out of affection. They do it to avoid self-reckoning. Machiavelli wrote that those who rise are opposed not by open resistance, but by subtle sabotage, by passive aggression, by recasting your growth as betrayal. But true power demands letting go of who you were. The selfish version of you isn't wicked. He's focused, alert, and on an upward path. Naturally, all who gained from your chaos will try to guilt you for ending it. You've seen the outcome. The reliable man, the eternal listener, the one who constantly sacrifices. He's the last to get invited, the last to be credited, the last to be considered when real power is at stake. While he invested in relationships, others invested in rank. While he managed emotions, others managed influence. While he was helping, others were advancing. And when he finally stops and surveys his situation, he discovers what Machiavelli always knew. The perennial giver is never the one in command. True power doesn't stem from being endlessly useful. It arises from being needed, but intentionally unavailable. It emerges from mystery, distance, and the sense of scarcity. The man who is always present is never truly powerful, because people only fear losing what they cannot predict or easily replace. If you want to help, start by helping yourself become less accessible. That's where power takes root. Does that mean you stop helping altogether? Absolutely not. It means you help like a king, wielding strategy, not like a wounded servant handing out favors blindly. Here's how to master that art. First, make help a transaction, never a gift. Whether it's emotional support, insight, or your time, let it cost them something, not necessarily money, but effort, loyalty, discretion, exclusivity. If they haven't earned your presence, they won't value it. If reaching you costs nothing, they won't fight to keep you. Help sparingly and deliberately. Let the weight of your support be felt. Second, never offer the same help twice. Helping someone once is generous. Helping them repeatedly for the same issue is enabling. You are not their backup brain, their emotional dumpster, or their plan B. Machiavelli called these repeated favors weakening rituals that breed dependence and render you expendable. Help once, then step back. Let them solve the problem themselves next time. Third, help only those who rise with you. If they're not building, growing, or protecting something meaningful, why invest your energy? Support those who move forward, because when they rise, they pull you up too. Helping the stagnant only drags you down. Don't help out of nostalgia, help out of alignment. Sometimes the greatest favor you can grant is to disappear without warning, to remove your shield, forcing others to face their own shortcomings. When you're always there, they have no reason to grow, but when they confront their failures alone, they either rise or fall. Either way, your power remains intact. This is Machiavelli's deeper wisdom. Mercy must be cold, kindness deliberate, and help always come at a cost. Save someone too early, and you don't just postpone their growth. You become their ceiling. So stop helping to be liked. Stop helping to feel useful. Stop helping as a way to bind others close. Let people rise or collapse on their own. Your empire can never stand on favors handed out for the sake of others' emotion. True power is built on selective loyalty, respect earned by distance, and a strength that serves itself first, ensuring it can't be commandeered by the weak. The man who stops giving out help carelessly doesn't lose allies. He sheds parasites. That is where unstoppable power begins. Society's biggest lie to strong men is the myth that you owe your energy to the world. You owe nothing, not your time, your help, your emotional bandwidth, and certainly not your strength, especially to those who would never return the favor. Machiavelli wasn't an advocate for cruelty, but for calculation. And when it comes to helping others, your calculations must be cold, clear, and entirely self-serving, because the man who gives to all is left with nothing, and no one to help him in return. Habit 5. Guard your time as a precious resource. People aren't always seeking a connection. They're often simply looking to plug into someone stronger, to offload their stress, their faults, their chaos. They don't want wisdom, just relief. If you provide it without demanding effort in return, you become a public charger, used by everyone, valued by no one. Hear their praise, "You're the only one I can talk to," or "Thank God you're here." But ask yourself, where are they when you're burned out? Where are they when you need quiet? Where are they when life burdens you? Gone, or worse, frowning in confusion at your unavailability. You helped them once, so now they feel entitled to your help forever. This is what Machiavelli would describe as emotional taxation, an invisible cost that grows heavier with every undisciplined act of giving. The more you supply without boundaries, the more they see you as a resource, not a force. But no empire is ever founded by being a mere resource. There's a harsh beauty in detachment. It reveals true character. The moment you stop helping blindly, masks fall away. Some people will vanish. Some will get angry. Some will deploy guilt to lure you back. None of these reactions mean you're wrong. They only show you were a convenience, not a companion. They were not drawn to you for who you are, but for what you supplied. As soon as the benefits end, so does their loyalty. They panic, not because they miss you, but because they miss your energy. This is the test most men fail. Guilt wins. They return, helping yet again, hoping peace follows. But Machiavelli would remind you, peace isn't the absence of conflict, but the presence of control. When you help endlessly, you surrender your control. You're not fostering peace. You're being kept in place. Most men are blind to this truth. When you help everyone indiscriminately, you invite dependence. You become a crutch for the weak and the entitled. But when you help selectively, you attract true allies, those who respect your boundaries and match your strength. Strong individuals don't seek to be saved. They seek to be challenged and sharpened. They want growth alongside someone who values their own power enough to say no when needed. Your selfishness becomes a powerful filter. It pushes away the needy and confounds the entitled. But it draws in the elite, the few with the resilience and discipline to accept a clear, firm, "Not now." That's your responsibility. And those are exactly the minds worth investing in and building with. So when others tell you you've changed, smile and own it. They're right. You've evolved past being a resource for their convenience. That's the very point. This transformation isn't just a change in attitude. It's a full reprogramming of how you see help itself. Help is no longer simply kindness. It becomes a currency, something to guard, to trade wisely, and to wield strategically. Here's how to implement this mindset. First, make your help scarce by default. Stop offering assistance before it's asked for. Don't volunteer your energy or time preemptively. Let others wonder if they can really count on you. Scarcity isn't just about withholding. It builds mystique and amplifies your value. It commands respect and cultivates silence. Not mere superficial appreciation. By making your support something earned, not automatic, you reclaim control over your energy and your empire. This scarcity is the foundation for power in relationships and alliances.